Hi, welcome to Tim Kerfin's House Talk. And today we're going to be talking to, well, two of my friends in the business. Randy Barcella from Barcella Limited. He does appraisals. And my friend Frank Vossholler from, he's an attorney with Vossholler Law, correct?
Yes.
How you guys doing?
Good. Yourself?
Not bad. It's this is our first annual Christmas show.
I feel like a kid again, man. I got these little ornaments on me. I feel like your wife gave this to you, right?
Yeah, I got them at Walgreens. They're $5 a piece.
This is cool. We're in a Christmas mood. Christmas is another week. I can't believe in just 2.5 weeks it's 2018.
I know. You guys doing anything for Christmas?
Just family stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going away, which is great. I like going away for Christmas. Not every Christmas, but this year I'm going away, and it's Mexico is gonna be nice. Sun.
Nice.
Well, anywhere warm is good.
Yeah,
Christmas
right.
Here.
Right. You can you always turn your heat up in your house.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're going to talk about real estate appraisals and real estate closings. Some of the hurdles and things to look out for, and home inspection issues, and talk about doing pre-sale inspections and inspections for first-time buyers. So, but one thing I want to talk about, we talked about last month about FHA appraisals.
FHA and appraisals.
Can you give us a little?
Yeah. I had calls after last show that we did and said, hey, wait a minute, Randy, we know that FHA calls for repairs. I don't understand what you were saying. It's urban myth. We went over this in the last show, but I'll go over it again today. No matter if the appraisal is FHA, VA, or conventional, it's on the same form. And 20 years ago, FHA came to the Chicagoland area, and they said, we are out of the calling for repair business. And this is 20 years ago. It was at the Hyatt in Lisle. And it was like 350 people there, underwriters, loan officers, appraisers, village inspectors, and they said, hey, look, 20 years ago and prior, we had this 4-page VC sheet, which was the repair sheet for FHA, where the appraiser went and called for a bunch of repairs, 4 pages worth, and FHA says, we're no longer in the calling for repair business. If your house complies with all local building and zoning codes of the city and the village, and there's no health and safety concerns, then there are no repairs for the FHA to call for.
Okay.
Well, so FHA does not call for repairs. That's urban myth.
Okay, so explain why someone might want to go FHA versus conventional.
Oh,
so
wow,
there's two loans. FHA. Well, there's a bunch of them. FHA, VA, and conventional. FHA and VA are pretty much the same, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, VA, you can get in. The vets get in with no money down.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they pay the vets closing costs, which is exciting.
But why would someone want to sell their house going FHA?
Because you can. There's a lot more buyers. I think about 52% of all the buyers over the last 10 years are FHA because you can get in with 3.5% down.
So you got a wider market, more people to choose from, more people that are going to look at your house.
Yes.
Versus, okay.
And then when I go to different real estate offices and I have my meetings with them at their office meetings, and I do buyer and seller seminar. First thing I ask is how many people in the real estate office. How many people think that FHA calls for repairs? Everybody throws their hand up in the air. We're not going FHA because they're going to call for a lot of repairs, and the FHA inspector is going to come out. First of all, there are no FHA inspectors. You are an appraiser who's qualified to do FHA, VA, and conventional appraisers. There is no FHA inspectors, and there are no FHA inspectors that are going to call for repairs. As an appraiser, I go out to a house, and if I see that the house has already complied with the village inspection, and there's no health and safety concerns on the house, there are no repairs.
Well, I got to laugh too because people I'll get a phone call and they'll say, hey, are you an FHA inspector? I go, there's no such thing.
That's urban myth. 20 years ago and prior, yes. So let's say how I might call for repairs. I go up to the house and I see the roof shingles are curling, and I go up to the second floor and there's water stains on the tiles. Yeah. It's probably a leaking roof, so I'm going to take a picture.
But your insurance company's going to tag that anyways, but go ahead.
Okay, so I go in the basement and there's cracks on the foundation, even horizontal, and there's water in the basement. That's a health and safety concern. Got to call for that.
Yeah.
And if it's an old house, 100-year-old house, or prior to 50 years ago, and I see peeling paint all over, that's probably lead-based paint. You have to call for that.
Yeah. But it's 78 or before, 78 and before. So, the other thing, too, is that with curling roofs, not only the appraiser might have an issue with that, is the insurance company.
Yes.
Because here's what they do. And almost all of them do this. So you'll close on your house. A month later, you're going to see a guy outside looking at the roof with binoculars.
Yes.
And if that roof isn't perfect, you get a letter saying, "Hey, replace it or we drop you."
Yes.
Happens all the time. And people look at me like I'm nuts, but that happens all the time.
Yeah. So if anybody having any questions about this, I don't care if you're a homeowner or you're selling or you're a real estate agent or broker, and you have buyers meetings and sellers meetings or just your office meeting, call me, Randy Barcella, 708. 708-870-9400. That's 708-870-9400. You can text or call that number. Also, too, to find out more about me and my background, my biography is online because I've got the top real estate radio show in Chicagoland area. That's Real Estate Revealed on AM 560, enjoyed every Sunday mornings. And that site is realestaterevealed.net, revealed.net, www.realestaterevealed.net. That's the show site. Click on my biography, learn all about me.
It's a great show, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Call
very
me,
informative.
and I'll come out to your office meetings free.
Not informative as this show, but it's
Yeah.
informative.
Oh, no. You know,
right, Frank?
That's right.
Okay.
Let me chime in here a little
ahead.
bit on this
Thanks for
FHA
agreeing.
inspection stuff. I deal with the aftermath. You guys do the initial inspection.
deal with the mess.
And the appraisals. I deal with the mess afterwards. And
Cleanup
there
guy.
are things on appraisals by FHA, not inspectors, obviously, but that do need to be fixed. Is that
No.
something that, yes. Is that something that lenders, not FHA, that lenders are requiring? Because
Give me an example. 'cause
See, but here's the
FHA
problem,
we
guys.
get an appraisal
You're in this
and it
trick
comes
bag.
back and there's like a little excerpt on there saying, peeled paint needs to be stained and repainted. Deck
Oh,
is
And it happens all the time with
urban myth.
appraisals.
I tell everybody that sees these things. Last summer, I got a call from two lenders. It was a VA and an FHA. They go, Randy, the appraiser's out of town. Go do the inspection, the final inspection. I said, what was it? It was in Hickory Hills. It was a shed. 5 years old. They said the appraiser called for,
With peeled paint.
for scraping it, priming it, and
How-
painting
how
it.
dumb
and
is
I
that?
called the lender. I
How
said,
dumb
this
is
is
that?
not an FHA inspection. This is not an FHA requirement whatsoever. You have to call these appraisers
But
on
the
it.
problem is,
Lead-based
it's
paint,
already.
there is no lead-based paint in the United States for the last 40 years. So if an appraiser calls for painting and scraping on a deck or the house, and the house is 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, that's not an FHA repair. The appraiser either does not know the current guidelines by HUD, or the appraiser just wants an extra inspection fee for $100 and thinking nobody's going to catch it.
But I know all that's wrong, but that's what's going on in the business.
Right, and
that's what's going on. And then the
70% of the time.
Right.
Yeah, and then attorneys are going along with it too.
Right, and I had a couple loan officers. Hey, Randy, it's 2 weeks before closing. Just go out and do the final. I said, but going forward now, since I've been doing all these home buyer seminars at real estate offices, I said you have to challenge the appraisers on this because half of the appraisers are working on urban myth from 21 years ago, and you have to tell the appraiser. Where in the HUD guideline 4000.1 handbook does it say I have to do that? And it doesn't say you have to.
It's not in there. But I know. But that's what's going on in the business.
And here's another example, and it's a good thing you brought it up.
But the inspector is going to tag that anyways. And goes back to the attorney,
I happen
right?
to be in a house in the suburbs here on an appraisal lately, and the buyer was there and the home inspector was there. And the buyer said to me, hey, Randy Barcella, you're going to call for GFI outlets in the kitchen and bathroom. I said, no, we're not, because that's not an FHA, that's urban myth. They had 3-pronged grounded outlets, but the village, the home inspector said, Randy, the village says you have to have the GFI outlets. Okay, but that's not FHA repair.
Yeah, but that's different too. You're talking about pre-sale inspections. Palos Heights does not do them. Hickory doesn't do them. Worth doesn't do them. Crestwood, Tinley doesn't do them. Crestwood.
Right. Orland Hills,
only like Berwyn, Dalton, some of those
Country
areas.
Club Hills.
Country Club Hills. You got it.
And when I call to do the appraisal,
So it doesn't. So that whole code thing is that's a whole other show.
and when at least half of the time I said I called to make the appraisal appointment with the listing agent, and the listing agent says, wait, you're the FHA guy, we got to wait a couple weeks to get this house ready for FHA. I says, why? He says, we got to have GFI outlets, kitchen and bathroom. I said, no, that's urban myth. Well, we have to have peeling
it's
paint
great for the
on the deck.
inspector.
I says, no, that's urban myth unless it's before 1978. And he goes, we got to have gutters and downspouts, and the overhang on the fascia and soffit has to be a certain length per FHA. I said, no, that's urban myth.
Yeah.
And you have to have smoke and carbon monoxide alarms on each level. I said, that's state of Illinois law, not FHA.
And a lot of stuff that people talk about is for new construction.
Yeah.
So and I'll tell you, you got to laugh about GFI, smoke detectors, carbons, handrails. I mean or a loose toilet. It wouldn't be an inspection, right? If you didn't have those items.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hey, what's wrong with this inspection? Something's wrong with this.
Yeah.
But you hear about this all the time. So you put that in the letter, correct?
Sometimes I do. If you really look at a real estate contract, the only things that are supposed to be brought up are safety concerns.
Yeah. And that's where you come in. So you do talk about safety concerns.
Yes.
Which goes back to the attorney. Writes.
Here's an example. There's a home in the south suburbs here, typically the new ones. You walk in the front door and it's an open foyer. And you have the 2 staircase going up. There's no handrails. You got to have handrails because you're going to fall and hurt yourself.
Well, I just read that the number one home-related ER visit is handrail-related.
Makes sense.
That makes sense. But these little homes,
In 3 steps or more, you should have a handrail.
however, there's a lot of these one-story homes on a basement, ranches or raised ranches,
Yeah.
whatever you call them. They're in Archer Heights, Garfield Ridge.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. And from the kitchen, there's the little 3-foot staircase
Yeah,
down to
right.
the
Up
basement.
and
There
down.
are no handrails needed there. You're not going to fall down and hurt yourself.
Right. Well, it's three steps or more. So let
Yeah.
me ask you something. What, just to kind of, so, okay, after you get my report, the home inspection report, and you get a copy of the appraisal requirements, right? If there's a safety concern, what do you do with that?
Well, if there's a safety concern, I bring it up to the, I'm on the seller side, so the buyer's attorney. On what the safety concerns, I give him a copy of the report, and then he meets with his client and decides if they are going to fix those things or give a credit for it. The thing is, when it's an FHA, what you're saying is that it doesn't matter, but we always bring it up because if that stuff does come up, we know we need to fix it afterwards, and if they provide a credit, they're still going to fix these things anyway. But now you're saying is that those things really don't need to be fixed.
It's not in the FHA handbook that you have to have peeling paint on a house for the last 30 years. If it's lead-based paint, that's a safety concern, and you have to eliminate that and remediate it.
But that's if the house is before 78.
Yeah, I mean, a GFCI gets brought up,
But that's not an FHA requirement,
get brought
and
up.
it's not an FHA guideline.
So there's nothing in the FHA that any kind of item needs to be fixed.
Yes,
in
if it's a
FHA
health
home.
and safety concern, such as if the roof is bad,
Or a big hole in the floor.
or there's no furnace, and they said it's still as is,
Yeah.
or if the furnace and the hot water tank aren't working and all the utilities off, you have to have that.
Notice he called it a hot water tank and not a hot water heater.
Right, it's a
I never
double
understood. I never understood a hot water heater.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
Does FHA provide a list of things, that they consider safety concerns, or it's just kind of a general term?
It's a general term.
Yeah.
It's your own
such as-
discretion.
Right. Well, let's say I go into the side driveway, go into the back, and it had buckled, and there's about a 6-inch or higher gap on the concrete. That's a health and that's a safety concern.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to fix that concrete. If I go in the basement and I see flood, the basement's flooding,
Yeah.
or I see there's apparent mold, I'll say apparent mold because no appraiser can tell you if it's mold.
No,
They
it's
have
not going to say
test it.
possible
They say possible mold. Or
Yeah.
if the roof is really
And you
bad
deal with
and it's
mold
leaking.
every day, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the roof is bad and it's leaking, but if there's 3-prong outlets everywhere and it's 100 amp service,
Yeah.
FHA does not require you put GFI outlets anywhere in the house. That's urban myth.
Yeah.
However, most of your local
Well,
municipalities.
what if the panel is 60 amps?
Well, if I go through a house and I see 2-prong outlets, they're not grounded.
Well, those are unpolarized outlets. They should
then
be.
I'm going to call for that.
Good.
I'm going to take a picture.
And I got
That's
news for
safety
you.
concern.
Most two-prong outlets are not grounded.
Correct, they're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they're
right.
not. That's a safety
And
concern.
you need 3 prongs. And the whole idea for a 3-prong outlet is not that 3rd prong is a ground. All that thing does is make sure you plug it in properly. So you're on the neutral side and the hot side. Because electric's like water. Starts at the ComEd pole, goes from the ComEd pole all the way loose through the house, back to the ComEd pole. So you got 3 wires, right? And people always ask me, do I have a 120 or 240 in the house? We got 240. I've never seen a 120 house. You got 3 lines on the telephone
Yeah.
pole, right? 120, 120 in neutral.
Yeah.
120, 120 is
Right.
240. Okay. So then it starts in the house. So that's why you have to have polarized outlets. So it's a nice like water pipe. Nice
Here's an
smooth.
example that you would have found out, but not anybody else. I did this appraisal on this beautiful townhouse. And the lady was moving into assisted living, and the new person came in and purchased a gorgeous 2-story townhouse. It closed. I didn't call for any repairs. A month and a half later, the buyer calls me and says, "Randy Barcella?" I said, "Yes." She goes, I got a bone to pick with you. I said, "Why?"
Okay,
She
she
goes,
thought
"Up
you were
in
an inspector."
So she said, up in the master bathroom whirlpool, the jets didn't work properly, and there was something with the electrical outlet behind the wall. And you're the I said, "Did you get a home inspection done?" And she said, "No, you're the FHA inspector. You're supposed to call for everything in the house." I said, "There are no FHA inspectors."
No, there's no such thing.
As of 22 years ago, there are no FHA inspectors.
I do remember them, though.
And it says on your form with FHA that FHA guarantees that does not guarantee that there's no repairs on the house. And FHA also has the paragraph on your paperwork that says you should, and they recommend you get a home inspection done because appraisers, we walk through and we don't go behind walls and we don't push furniture aside. Whatever we visit,
Moving
we see.
fish tanks.
So there was the urban myth with her and a lot of buyers. If I'm going FHA, I'm protected. I don't have to get a home inspection done because I was the FHA inspector. There are no FHA inspectors.
A lot of that is the realtor that really doesn't know. You know, that about FHA versus an inspector.
Yeah.
No, that's why you have a home inspection. You
Yes.
have to have a home inspection. I don't care if your dad's a builder and built 10,000 homes, is the most well guy known in the world, you have a home inspection. It's 2 different businesses. I mean, we're looking for different things than a builder. And just like an attorney. God, I would never buy a house without an attorney.
No, I wouldn't either.
You know,
Why do they do it in Indiana? There's no attorneys in Indiana.
Yeah, that's Indiana.
Yeah, right.
It's a different
All
story.
right. But Illinois, you have to get in it. First of all, I recommend everybody get a home inspection done before you put your house on the market for sale, and get an appraisal done before you give it to a realtor. So now when
right.
buyers come through the home, they have a little bit more confidence and no
right,
stress because they pick up your inspection, home inspection, and
Yeah.
says, wow, there's nothing wrong with my house. Or if there were, they fixed it.
Or they price the house accordingly. How nice would that be
Yes.
if you walked in a
An
house?
appraisal and a home inspection.
Yeah, you had this stuff sitting right there. I'd be like, wow, they had an inspection.
Yes.
These people are doing their homework. And that would make me feel better as a seller and buyer.
Yes.
But I don't know why people don't do pre-sale inspections here. It's kind of like a cat and mouse game. And you probably agree to this. That, so, well, let's see what the inspector finds.
That's
crazy.
So if you're a realtor or an attorney or a homeowner, and you want to know if your house is going to fly FHA or not, that's what I always say, just call me, 708-870-9400, 708-870-9400, and I'll tell you that.
And honest to God, he answers his phone, and he will answer your questions.
Yeah, because
honestly.
there's a lot of,
I called you at 11 o'clock at night.
half of the appraisers are stuck in urban myth from 22 years ago, and they're calling for what was used
Well,
to
they
be
think
called
they're inspectors. They're not. They're appraisers.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some other appraisers. I have issues sometimes with the appraisals are coming in low. And
Oh, my goodness.
And everyone thinks that appraiser is wrong.
House should be worth
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Every appraisal,
Here's what happened. When Obama came in office, and a year later, they initiated the Dodd-Frank bill with the governor from New York, because they think that most of the real estate crash from 2008 to 12 was because of appraisers. So they said, appraisers. Let's say
They thought you guys were going out there saying the house is worth $1 million, it's worth
oh my goodness, that's not it. That's not it. Here's the deal.
But that's true, though. That's what
Let's
people
say there's
think.
100 appraisers in the Chicagoland area. All of your mortgage companies would use the top 10 or 15 appraisers, like they would use the top 10 attorneys and the top 10 home inspectors. However, all the appraisers after 2010 got put on a rotation list. So of the 100 appraisers,
You can't use your favorite appraiser.
Right. The bottom, well, not only the favorite, the good appraisers.
Yeah.
On the
So
top,
if you're a mortgage guy, you couldn't use your top appraiser.
Right. So the bottom 30 appraisers who weren't doing that well anyways and are not that qualified and not that good, you're getting a third of all your appraisals done by incompetent appraisers. So I had a deal that recently where 3 deals of buying and selling houses were in a row, and it was a local realtor here, and the buyers were with them for a year and a half, and they found this house that was such a steal. It was a short sale. I think it was originally listed for $350, and they bought it for $265. It was a really great deal on the house. So the appraiser came from an hour away, didn't know the neighborhood, and came in at $240 instead of $265. It blew all 3 deals, and that's wrong.
No, that's wrong.
I know what you're saying.
And you're
That's
known near
wrong.
it. Let me ask you a question. So short sales, that's a whole. We can talk about that for a month. But what's your opinion on short sales? Well, what are they?
Short sales is when the lender forgives the remaining balance of a house compared, like, so say someone owed $350 on their house, but it's only worth $275 now. So someone puts an offer at $275, the lender will forgive the other $75,000 and let you sell the house $275 and release it, and the new person can own the house. And then that other person, the biggest issue for them is the tax hit. They're going to get hit with a $75,000 income 1099.
That's a great option versus foreclosure, right?
Yeah, but you got to pay you got to pay the taxes on that $75K.
Depends if you're insolvent or not.
Okay.
Usually, if you're going in a short sale or foreclosure, you're not doing well financially. So one way to look, you could file bankruptcy, do the short sale, then you won't have to pay any of those tax consequences. So that's a way to get around that.
But that's a big hit, though.
Well,
so you're saying
is a big hit.
Yeah. So if there's a $75,000 balance on that mortgage, I got to pay the taxes on that?
Yes.
Wow. It don't seem.
Well, up until 2000, this is the last year for it. You used to be able, if it was your primary residence, you used to be able to not have to pay tax on it. It's forgiven. But going forward, it's not going to be like that anymore.
Another big reason.
But those short sales seem like they're a hassle.
Oh, they're a hassle. Yeah. I mean, the fastest one you're going to do is 120 days. But
I think if you're lucky.
Yeah,
I think that, well, this is what I've heard. If you're not an expert at short sales as an attorney or a realtor, don't go, you shouldn't use them, because I did a deal where the house was listed by, the homeowner said, well, there was some foreclosures in the neighborhood, so I guess they called it strategic loss or strategic something to get out instead of just bailing on it. So the realtor said, hey, look, I know you want to get out of here, and you owe more than your house is worth after the crash. Let's just put it in the MLS as a short sale. So 10 months later, they get an offer, and months later, it didn't close because the realtor and the attorney never had it approved by the lender who had the mortgage.
I hear that
to
all the
begin with.
time. Hey, if you're just tuning in, Tim Kerfen with Kerfen Inspections.
Randy Barcella, Real Estate Appraisals.
Frank Vosshaller with the law office of Frank L. Vosshaller III.
So with the pre-approval, you should get on the short sales, no? Or is that difficult?
Usually, there's some banks that will, some banks that won't, that they want an offer before they're even going to send anybody out.
Oh,
What's
really?
called a BPO, or a broker's price opinion.
Oh, okay.
Majority of them now, at the beginning, a lot of them want an offer. Now, you can get it on the beginning stages, but they want, bank statements, tax returns, pay stubs, where people are, hesitant to give that information out these days, but it's needed for them to start the process. Then they'll send someone out to do a BPO. Once the BPO comes back at the level that you are offering the property at, that's when they, start moving forward.
Can the bank, does the bank haggle with people, not haggle, but negotiate
Yeah,
with people?
there's, basically for the first 30 days, it's 90% of their value. After 90 days, it's 88%, and then after 120, it goes to 84%.
Is there any difference in appraisals with those?
Typically, when you're on a short sale, I found many times that the house is worth more than the short sale because they just need to get out and liquidate.
Yeah, right.
The problem is, and you've probably seen this on appraisals, if the house sells for $100,000 less, let's say it was originally $300,000, they need to get out no matter what, and it's end up selling for $200,000, and all the comparables are saying it's really $240,000. A lot of appraisers just hit the contract price, and that's wrong. So I appraise it for what it's really worth. So let's say it's really worth $240,000 and the buyers bought it for $200,000. I can't go to $200,000 just because that's not the way appraisals are done. I have to do what it's really worth. So I'll hand it in what it's worth. But unfortunately, some appraisers just look at the contract price and they get 3 comparable sales to match the contract price. That's not right.
And that's the issue too. Is that when I say BPO, it's a broker's price opinion. It's not an appraiser. So that's a non-licensed, just real estate broker going
But a
out
lot
there.
of
Say, hey, we'll offer this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say a lot of your real estate brokers in the Southland here, they're really good. And they're coming up
Some
with good
great
comps.
ones. Yeah. Let me ask you, does the bank? So would the bank take that hit, or are they insured for that?
Depends. I mean, if they have mortgage insurance, they are insured. If they're not, then they don't.
So it might be, so the bank might say, what the heck? This is a good deal all the way around. We're going to get our money back if they carry insurance.
I wish the banks thought like that.
Yeah.
It makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah.
But they really just go off the broker's price opinion. If you're not within the value of that, value, they don't.
Never understood, guys. So they'll give the break to the new guy coming in, but they won't give it to the guy that's in the house. It just seems like if you're going to give the break, if they're working and everything still pans out, they just can't afford it. But if you knocked off the $75,000 that the new guy was going to come in at, I just think that would make more sense.
Well, I think short sales is a great option.
I'm not saying every.
Yeah.
You have to prove hardship now. In other words,
Yeah.
Let's say the gentleman lost his job or the wife lost her job and they depended on 2 incomes to keep the house. And then maybe there was an illness in the family. And then maybe there's a divorce plus all these things happening. That's hardship.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great alternative to be able to prove your hardship and walk away.
Well, that hardship thing it's kind of
Vague
gotten
area?
a lot wider.
Oh, did it? Okay.
A lot wider and grayer.
There's obsessive credit obligations. I mean, if you ran up your credit cards, that's a
Yes.
hardship. There's curtailment of income.
I didn't know that.
If you're not working a little bit overtime, that's considered a hardship. There's
That's a strategic default is
Exactly.
what they told me a couple years ago.
Yeah, I guess it's
Not
slippery
everybody
slope.
can do the short sale. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so short sales. I mean, my opinion, personal opinion, I wouldn't recommend that route for a buyer. Unless you're willing to sit around for a year.
Isn't it better than a foreclosure?
No, I'm talking about if you're a buyer.
Oh, you're a buyer. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
nowadays probably not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say short sales is the way to go, just because you're going to wait around for a house that's valued at what it should be anyway.
So you're.
Well, here's a good example. I recommended Tim Kerfen do an inspection on a friend of mine. He's a manager of a big restaurant here in the Chicago Southland. And he goes, Randy, I don't need a home inspection. I know we're buying it so far under value. And I said, no, trust me on this. You need a home inspection. But it looks good to me. Tim Kerfen goes out to the house. And he says, walk away from this. And he was so crushed and disappointed and almost mad at Tim. And then it turned out to be a good deal because he would have had to put $100,000 into the house, and he went
the
ahead
house had
and found
structure issues.
Yeah, so you have to get a home inspection because the typical buyer doesn't know better. So my
they
friend,
get the father or the brother-in-law in there.
So my friend went and found another house that was sort of a short sale below market. And he got Tim to go back out there, and Tim said, okay, it's good. And now he moved in with his fiancee just 2 weeks ago. So thanks to Tim Kerfen here, home inspections are worth it.
Well, you're just doing the job.
Yes.
You know, you're looking at everything.
Yeah.
You know, if you in a home inspection, if you take the time and you're trained and you go through it, you'll find things.
But don't just look at the price if you're a buyer, because
No.
let's say the house is dropped half off. You're saying, well, this is a steal. What could be in there? But what if the house was vacant for a year and a half? And the home inspector, and you find out after you moved in that there's mold in all the HVAC and all the ductwork and throughout the whole house, and you and your family are getting sick?
Yep. Or sewer line problems.
Or sewer line.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if people know this, but you know, Nicor Gas Company has sewer line insurance. I think it's $10 a
Really?
month. Oh yeah. So, and I think it's after 30 days it kicks in. And read the fine print, but they either cover you up to $4,000 or $8,000. So if you get in that house 6 months later, you find out your sewer line's crushed.
Wow.
You're covered. I mean, I think that's fantastic, fantastic insurance.
Yeah.
Wait till the show's over, people, to call in for inspections, please.
Yes.
Well, it's Christmas, you know, and I mean, you guys get slower at Christmas, right?
I didn't.
No.
I'm busy again now.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm busy, but not like, you know, Christmas usually like right now to the first.
Good news, though. Since Trump got in office, that Dodd-Frank bill, he rescinded it. So now it's got to go into I think it passed through the House now next spring, the Senate.
Yeah.
So by the end of 2018, this Dodd-Frank bill should be gone.
Which is beautiful.
And your mortgage companies now will opt out of going through appraisal management companies, because appraisal management companies came in the last 8 years. And they said to the lender, we're going to take control of these appraisers, and we're going to charge you $600 for the appraiser, lender. We're going to pay the appraiser $350, but we're going to make sure it's all done right. So the lender now is getting smart. Loan Depot, huge national company, they did away with appraisal management companies. We said, why are we paying the appraisal management company $750 when we can go right to Randy Barcella, pay him $450, save ourselves $300? So you're going to see 2018 on mortgage companies going back to choosing their appraisers.
Yeah. Hey, Frank, let me ask you. So you're a real estate attorney.
Mm-hmm.
What is the process? I mean, do you ever tell? Another thing, do you ever tell people, wow, you got all these repairs? Holy cow! Do you ever tell them that maybe you got to walk?
That's not my job.
Okay.
No.
But
That's a good attorney.
Yeah. But you present it to them.
Yeah, I present all the facts to them.
Okay.
You know, I let them know what I've seen in the past, and you know what is a lot and what isn't a lot.
Yeah.
And if it is a lot, you know, then we need to ask for a lot. You know,
So when you get do you get a copy of the appraisal?
a copy of the appraisal? No,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
usually.
So what do you do with like my home inspection report?
Your home inspection, I go over that with them in detail.
And so, I mean, is it say like, hey, what do you want done, or is it, you know?
No, usually with most people, I'll send it over, let them look at it for a couple hours, then I'll give them a call, and then we'll go over the whole list together, and I'll let them know what's a safety concern and what's basically just cosmetic. And a lot of the stuff, if it's stuff in the inspection report that you should have seen when you were looking at the house, I really can't bring that up, because it's you bought the house at this price because of this stuff. But when there's cracks in the foundation, there's leaking faucets, there's mold in the attic, there's stuff that you didn't see, then
The buyer didn't see.
the buyer didn't see.
But did you ever wonder why people don't do pre-sale inspections? This makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it would help a lot of people, and it would help me a lot, because if you got a pre-sale inspection, you know what to look for, and then you can fix those things beforehand, provide invoices, and
It's a happy day.
yeah.
And too, as an appraiser, I've been through homes where after they bought it, a lot of things came out, because one house I did, well, there's been several, where they paint the floor, and they paint the walls of the foundation, and they paint the floors and the walls. And then somebody put paneling on all the walls around the house.
Yeah.
And it covered outlets that were lower down. And also, too, it came to be raining after they put up the paneling around the basement to make it really look nice. They covered up cracks in the foundation.
Yeah.
That's why you need a home inspection. So I saw that it was raining, and I saw the carpeting below the paneling, and it was all dark because it had been raining, and the foundation was leaking onto the carpeting in the basement.
Yeah.
So I wrote that up and called for it. The home inspector pulled the paneling back, and there was big cracks in the foundation, and this painting was all just masking things
Well,
up.
as a home inspector, you never just pull stuff back. You ask permission.
Right,
But
ask.
One of my favorite stories is the rear wall of the basement foundation was covered with paneling.
Yes.
And it looked new. It smelled like new cheap paneling. And I pulled it back, and there were structure issues. huge structure issue. Put like $20,000 in the structure repairs. But why didn't they just say that up front that hey, we had structure repairs, and here's the paperwork, call it a day? It would have been great. But because the seller wasn't upfront about that, the buyer walked.
Yes.
Now you got to disclose everything.
Yeah, if you got a leak in your basement, say there's a leak, where it is, and everybody will deal with it.
That's the
Basement's leak.
The seller and the listing agent, they did some bad things then, because unethical things perhaps, because you have a seller's disclosure when you get your house listed for sale, and it says on there you have to list what's wrong with the house. And if
what you know of, and if
they say nothing's wrong with it and they're covering it up, they can get sued.
Yeah, and if you've been there for 20 years, I mean, you know if your basement leaks.
Well, I actually just had a deal, because we had those big rainstorms come in for a little bit there. And I had a guy who lived at our property for 20 years, and he never once had rain in his
And that's
basement.
possible, too.
And he swore to God that he didn't have it. And he was a very nice gentleman. But I guess what happened is, about a month before, the landscaping came out and regraded some things. And it went above,
changed the gutters
went
around?
above his line.
Okay.
And the water got in the basement for the first time ever the day before the closing.
Yeah,
it does happen.
And that happens. I had a situation where same thing, and they pulled a brand new house up next door, and all of a sudden the guy's getting water in his basement. Yeah. I mean, things happen. One thing about roofs and basements, you're going to have a roof leak. You're going to have a basement leak. In my house, if I don't keep the gutters religiously away from the house, my gutter's clean, I get some seepage.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it took me about a year of playing whack-a-mole with my gutters and downspouts before I got it tweaked out where I wasn't getting water. But I got to keep those things clean and away from the house. So gutters are very important. So what do you do when they come back and say we're not doing any of these repairs?
Then it's basically the people are.
You're like, oh, great.
Yeah. It was like, okay, so basically you're going to buy it as is if you want to get this house.
Speaking of as is as is?
Yeah, I mean afterwards, because if you provide a inspection report, you say you're not going to fix anything, and they still go forward with the deal.
However, if there's health and safety concerns and there's major problems with the house structurally, or with the mold, or with flooding,
but you can still walk with that, right?
You cannot close on a first mortgage if there's conditions on there. You can buy as is if you're a cash buyer and you're a rehabber. Go in and pay cash. But if there's, we shared this last show. I did an appraisal, FHA, and there were a lot of repairs. It was apparent mold everywhere. The furnace was not on. There were high tension wires, electrical wires from the back of the house to the alley, falling on the garage and the sidewalk. There was a lot of major repairs, and it wasn't health and safety repairs. So it's a major loan company out here in the suburbs, and the branch manager said, Randy, flip this from FHA to conventional. It's as is. I says, you can't go as is. He goes, everybody knows conventional is as is. And I showed him, and I wrote in there's three paragraphs with Fannie Mae guidelines. If there's health and safety concerns and it's not livable, you cannot go as is Fannie Mae. That's a big myth.
So, if I walk in a house and I see power lines rubbing on the roof of the house, or
I was afraid
the
to
gutter,
walk into it.
Yeah, or you're rubbing on the gutter, and you get my report saying that this is an issue, even though if it's as is, can you go back to the seller and say, hey, we need this repaired?
If it's power lines, you can call ComEd and they're going to take it.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, if there's an issue like that, significant, is the house still as is, or can you try to get that repaired?
Well, you can always try to get it repaired, but I mean, there's some people that just,
But the bottom line, it's as is.
Right.
Gotcha. So if there's mold in the attic, you say, hey, we got $2,000 worth of remediation. You can try to get them to
But a mortgage company will not close on that loan if there's health and safety concerns. I can tell you that right now.
Gotcha.
They won't.
So it might be in the seller's best interest to get it done.
Yes.
To do the repairs.
But, there are deals that go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't.
Yeah, right. In every situation.
But I just, as an attorney, you have to give them all of their options and then let them know what's happening. And if they decide to go forward, that's...
Guys, great show today. Again, Tim Kerfen.
I'm in such a Christmas mood with the nice lights your wife brought us.
Yeah, and that version of Silent Night before we started was really nice.
I just want to let everybody know, if you want to know all the details about FHA, VA, conventional, call me anytime, 708-870-9400. That's 708-870-9400. Or go to my website, look at my testimonies and biography. It's www.realestaterevealed.net, REVEALED.net. If you're an attorney, you're a real estate agent, you're a buyer, seller, I can help you. It's free. Randy Barcella, 708-870-9400. And Merry Christmas, and thank you, Tim Kerfen.
And you can see Randy on about 3 in the morning selling ShamWows.
What's that?
ShamWows?
I want to thank Tim Kerfen for letting me on the show, because I started on radio with Tim Kerfen 11 years ago. House Talk 105.9
Yeah,
WCKJ.
yeah.
He found me at the Palos Heights post office, right in front of the post office, and I had the real estate
Yeah.
appraisals on signs on my car.
Yeah, yeah. And,
Yeah.
you got a new car though.
Yeah.
And Frank Vossholler?
Yeah, if you need an attorney for a buy or a sale, you call me at 708-341-2060. On the sale, I run a great special. I only charge $100 because most people don't
Really?
know that attorneys, you get a commission from the title company on a sale.
I didn't know that.
So that's where you're making your money.
I make the money from the commission company, so I don't need to overcharge
You
my
are very
clients $500 or
affordable. That's
$600
good. That's great.
on top of that.
What a great
I only
deal.
charge $100, and then on a buy, it's $450, just so you know.
And you know what's
That's
nice
cheap.
about
That is
nice about
expensive.
working with Frank? He also carries a real estate license, so he knows the ins and outs of that as well.
And I'm a real estate broker, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
No, you got to wear a lot of hats in this business.
That's right.
Yeah, and you specialize in real estate.
Real estate, yes.
Yep.
Correct.
So you're appraisal inspector. Hey guys, appreciate it. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you.
And if you see us tonight, we're going to be up at Craples. If you see us, say hi.
Last time was pizza. We're doing steak tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
Steak and beer.
It's not Tim. Good Christmas present.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.